Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
And I came across this for all of us parents. Don't necessarily educate your children to be rich. Educate them to be happy. So when they grow up, they will know the value of things, not the price. There you go. Good morning on a Monday, Zeb at the Ranch. Good morning. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America. Followed by a Patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Have a good one. Here we go. And a good morning to you. Kind of a cloudy, overcast morning. Zeb Bell, Zeb at the Ranch, and with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, along with some of our great advertisers like Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Call 734-6969. And now, without further ado, it's time for our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Well, good morning, sir.
You?
I figured I'd do the pledge this morning.
Attaboy. Go at it, Wheels. Have at it. Thanks.
You're welcome. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Attaboy. That's an attaboy star on the wall. There you go, bud. All right. Hey, it's time for the weather, and the weather is brought to everybody by K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn. Number to call, 678-3122. Hello, Roger and the crew. I'm telling you, they got all your tools, all your equipment. If you don't want to own them and you're just going to use them for a special project, you'd better call K&R Rental right now. 678-3122. They've been in business since 1979, and they have the experience to get you what you need. K&R Rental, 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn. Right now, here's the weather.
Here's your weather forecast as we saddle up and ride for the weekend. This is what it looks like for today. Partly cloudy for this morning, but that's going to give way to afternoon rain showers and thunderstorms, about a 50% chance. High of 63 for today. A little bit on the breezy side tonight. 90% chance of rain showers is expected with a low of 45. Tomorrow, more rain showers will continue with a high of 62. For tomorrow night, winds are going to be picking up out of the southwest, about 20 miles an hour, low of 43, but everything going to be calming down for Wednesday and a high of 72. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Oh, thank you, Gene. Appreciate it. Brought to you by K&R Rental, 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn. Here's the number, 678-3122. They're open Monday through Friday, 7 in the morning till 5:30, Saturdays 7 to 2. You get a hold of them for all your tools and equipment, K&R Rental. Wow, have we got a home run program today. Excuse me, I'm choking here a little bit. Must have been that wonderful, huge breakfast I ate. My bagel. Anyhow, we've got all kinds of goodies on here this morning. We're going to give away some cookies at 8:30 from Sophie's, and then we've got Vicky's Country Garden. We got Larry Pratt on, and he is with the Gun Owners of America. And then we've got Rachel Alexander coming on, talking about the James Comey hearing. And then Cody Wilson, another man that says, get yourself prepared, man. I'll tell you what, we've got a lot of things to worry about in this country, and self-protection is very important. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Hello, Kevin. Hello, Cindy. Hello, everybody. You know, they can do something else for you. I had a person comment on this on a cell phone call the other day, and they said, did you say at Daryl's that I can take my dirty clothes in to be washed, dried, folded, and ironed? I said, yep, all to the above. And they're the best. Yes, they do. They'll do the washing for you at Daryl's. And along with all the dry cleaning to prolong the life of your clothes, I mean, what else could you ask for? Daryl's Cleaners at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. You stop in and see those good folks today. By the way, too, Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. They throw open the doors at 7:30 in the morning until 5, Monday through Friday, for all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs. And don't forget, we'll be putting the air conditioners on here pretty much full time before too long. You better make sure you got a clean air filter that's going to let your air conditioning unit work efficiently. That's right. Get in there, get a 1 or case of 12. Get the discount pricing. All at Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Oh, my. I don't even know where to start this morning. We've got a bunch of things to talk about. This complete silliness and disgusting transgenderism now has hit, and I am not making this up. You folks think this is a phony story. Well, I'll tell you what, I about fell off my chair when I was hearing this. Now this stupid transgenderism has hit the beverage world. There is now a gender-neutral beer. That's how it's labeled, gender-neutral beer. And this absolutely perverted thought of you can be whatever you want to be is so deviated. Here's the part of this story, along with gender-neutral beer, adult beverage beer, that it'll just knock your socks off with silliness and stupidity. There is a professor, a paid professor at the University of Arizona. I believe it's University of Arizona. It might be Arizona State, but all the stories that I've had said University of Arizona, that thinks he is a hippopotamus. You can't make this stuff up, folks. I mean, he thinks he's a hippopotamus. And that's how he's living his life. I don't know if he lives out in a mud hole with a little bit of water or what. I have no clue. You know, it's kind of like I'll be a daffodil flower today and a hippo tomorrow. And in New York City, there are over 40 terms for genderism. And if you call somebody by the wrong one, they might slap a lawsuit on you. It's nuts. The bathroom usage. Should I stand today or should I sit today? This is completely nuts. And against any kind of normalcy or right and wrong at any time. Your calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Why should we put up with this? We shouldn't. We should not. There is a right and wrong, and there's a moral value that must be maintained in a civilized society, and we're losing it. It's seeping through the cracks right now. It's seeping through the cracks right now. I want to talk about cleaning up our backyards. And I'm not talking about property in just a minute. Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley on 291 Poline Road in Twin Falls. America's Diner. Ooh, what a menu. Just go and pick up the menu and point. Anything they bring you is going to be absolutely delicious. You got to try all their different burgers. I mean, they got a whole list of new burgers, and they've got also all the best of breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Great people serving you, and man, I'm so proud to have our lunch bunch, Zeb's Lunch Bunch, over there at Denny's Restaurant. 2 locations, 611 North Overland in Burley and 291 Poline Road in Twin Falls. The best at America's Diner, Denny's Restaurant. Thank you very much. Oh, also, real quick, Barry Equipment and Rental. You know, they've been with us for a long, long time, and I appreciate them. Barry Equipment and Rental, 3 locations to serve you in Jerome on South Lincoln, Twin Falls, Addison Avenue West, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. It's not bragging when they say they have all the equipment to get the job done right. It's a fact. It's never bragging when it's fact and it's true. They can help you with all your equipment rentals, all your retail equipment sales. They've got the very, very best of the Walker mowers, 0% interest for 48 months. Oh, you can mow like the pros. Evidently, you know, if you haven't tried one, you need to get in there and try one because, man, they are something else. Barry Equipment and Rental, South Lincoln, Jerome, and Addison Avenue West, Twin Falls, 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. I'll tell you what, they do have all the equipment to get the job done right. Well, right on cue. Good morning, caller. How are you?
Good morning.
Yes, sir.
Is it raining in Murtaugh?
I haven't even had a chance to check in the last half hour or so. What can we do for you this morning?
Well, you brought up something in about this GLBs and everything else, but the most despicable thing I've heard of lately is this NFL deal. You almost got to laugh at it because most of the players are black.
Yeah.
And Black Lives Matter?
You know,
what in the world is going on?
Well, it shows you the insanity of what's happening in our world today. The Black Lives Matter group should absolutely get no press coverage whatsoever. They shouldn't get any newscast information or their word out. They should be just totally thrown away. It's a disgusting group of people that are just out to cause more divisiveness in our country and promote racial separation. I will not say anything good about Black Lives Matter. I don't want Black Lives Matter ever on my program. I will never give them fairness of a kind of a even keel on this program. I don't want them. I don't want them around. I think they're absolutely a detestable waste of time.
See, they're the best friends of the press because it gives us something else to talk about. And, you know, are we so hard up for news that we have to talk about things like that?
Yeah, I guess we are, because the liberal left, of which I'm going to talk about in just a moment, I'm so disgusted, and underline these words, I'm so disgusted with the lack of class from the Democrats. And I'm going to explain why in just a moment, Keith.
Let me just add this. When you were talking about that professor that wanted to be whatever he wanted to be, like a hippopotamus.
Yeah, I'm not kidding.
Well, if you can go that route, why couldn't we all wish that Comey would disappear, be invisible?
Yeah, well, there are good wishes, and that happens to be one. Thank you, Keith. I got to run. Thank you very much. All right, buddy. Thank you. Yeah, I want to talk about this in just a minute, about cleaning up our backyards. And if it offends somebody, so be it. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. The number to call, 678-1191, helping you get back to being you. I mean, they worry about whether you're stiff and sore from maybe overdoing it. They worry about how you're coming back and recuperating from an accident or an injury. They worry about how you're coming back from surgery or whatever. Hey, they can help. And they've got all the exercises and the hydrotherapy pool. Oh, yes, they can help you get back to being you. Nick Greenwell and the rest of the physical therapists, the best. I underline that because I mean it. The best. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. All right. I want to say this right up front, and I am not preaching to you. I am also including myself. It is time to clean up our backyards, and I don't mean property. I mean how we live, what we say, and what we do. Now, this is where I'm going to stop, and I'm going to say I'll be the first today. I've had, in the past, And even now, as much as I'm trying, I've had some holes in my screen door. Sometimes I say things. Sometimes I utter a word when I'm outside or something I'm ashamed of. And have done things that I'm not happy with myself for. But we can all do better. However, after I listened to what was going on with some of the Democrats and their foul-mouthed, filthy use of certain words in their speeches, like Tom Perez, DNC chairman, and then despicably a woman, a Democratic senator, Kirsten Gillibrand of New York, using, and if there's small children in the room, you want to just kind of shuttle them into the other room and give them a toy that makes noise or something. But using the F word. And she did it on many occasions in her speech. And then she had the gall and audacity to say that it was appealing because she was speaking to a younger audience. I'm going to ask you folks, how pathetic is that? How stupid is that? And how low class can the Democrats go right now? And if a Republican does it, I'll do the same thing. Donald Trump, anybody else, clean up your language and help clean up the United States. Like I said, we've got to clean up our backyard. How in the world can they stand up for this? And they have. I saw two brothers arguing about this on television early this morning. And the Democratic-leaning brothers said, oh, it's fine, it's okay, chuckle, chuckle, laugh, laugh. No, it's not. No, it's not. Our speech patterns and the way we conduct ourselves are what our children see, imitate, and emulate. Are we that filthy right now and that low class that we can accept certain things into our society as accepted norms? And I point my finger right now at the Democrats, whether they're here locally. I absolutely look at you and say, if you advocate this or back this up, you have a no class, underline the words again, no class personality or any politician. What are your thoughts on this? Give me a call. Like I said, we all slip up. We all mess up. And I want to hear your thoughts on this. Caller, I'm going to ask your indulgence just to stay with me a moment. I've got to tell everybody that Ag Express is looking for drivers. Yes, they are. And Ag Express is looking to offer you a lot of great opportunities. Full or part-time positions. Retired folks are welcome to apply. And they'll work around your schedule 2 or 3 days a week. Whatever works best for you. And you're home every night using new and maintained equipment. Holy cow, you better call today. They've got great benefit programs, vacation schedules. Call Dale in Paul at 438-8886, Alan in Twin Falls 731-2495, and Russ in Burley at 431-7175. Ag Express is looking for drivers. Ag Express is looking for you. Caller, thank you. Good morning.
Bravo. I appreciate what you're saying. Doing the right thing. You're advertising goodness.
What do you go? Yeah, I am. I'm trying to hear you, sir. Go ahead. Keep talking.
Well, that was my main objective. I've got another business call coming in, but I just wanted to give a bravo to you and a giant ditto. And that's what we need to do is advertise all goodness and purify our language.
Well, I appreciate your comments on that.
The way we act is what we become.
Boy, that's well said.
With James Allen. That's an excellent book to bring across that point. I got another business call coming in. I'd like to talk more, but thank you.
All right, God bless you. Thank you for your remarks. Thank you very much. You know, and there again, now, I don't want anybody thinking, oh, that Zeb Bell, he's playing holier than thou or us again. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Like I said, we all have holes in our screen door, and the flies get in. I'm as guilty as anybody, but you know what? We can strive to do better. We can strive to do and not do certain things that lower our standards and lower our society. Now, I sat and I've listened to some of these speeches by Tom Perez and this ridiculously stupid woman, Kirsten Gillibrand, senator from New York, and it's just kind of a fun thing for them when it's nothing more than deplorable sleaze. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb.
Hi, buddy.
This kind of language is the norm for a lot of the younger people. And some of these politicians figure by using that, they're going to appeal to this younger generation who will end up voting for them at some point.
Well, if that's what they want to appeal to, if that's how they're going to open the door and extend a welcoming position to their party, the door should be slammed, it should be nailed shut, and I'd love to see the complete dissolvement of the Democratic Party because they are a party of no class.
Well, I think they're in a self-destruct mode right now. They're trying anything to keep themselves as a popular entity, and I don't think it's going to work. I think the American people are tired of what the kind of language they're using and the tactics they're using to stay in business.
Well, I think and I hope and I pray that you are right. But you know something, Tony? In today's society, it almost is like anything goes. There are no rights. There are no wrongs. There are no black and whites. There are no moral values. And we've got to start taking the old rake out in the backyard and cleaning it up. That's the way I feel.
Well, Sharia law takes over, we won't have to worry about a thing.
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah, right. Thanks, Tony. God bless you and Mary. Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right, buddy. Thank you. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Good morning, Zeb.
Hi, Linda.
You are quite right about the backyard. We do need to clean it up. And where our speech is, I think, is a reflection of where our minds go and our focus. And it's, if that's the way we are, we do have a lot of things coming. And if I had a professor that thought he was a hippopotamus, I think I'd be looking around for another professor.
I'd be looking around for another school.
People don't seem to care sometimes about what's going on.
Yeah.
That's just totally stupid. The students deserve better than that. Our country deserves better than that. Education deserves better than that.
Linda, let me ask you a question here. I'm sure that you have had the opportunity to address audiences or various groups or whatever. Have you not given speeches at certain places? Mm-hmm. All right. Would you ever, I know you are a lady of class, you are a lady of culture. Would you ever resort to try to indoctrinate a younger audience by using the F word in your speech?
I think that's absolutely disgusting. Again, if that's where the focus of the mind is, it needs to be cleaned up. And, I think that's demeaning to our youth and our younger people, our young adults. And if they really are thinking like that, and I think some of them are, then they better clean it up. And, we never used to have a lot of swearing or sex and violence in books. Now, there was violence. You had, you had your detective stories, you had your adventure stories and things. But with what we're doing now, the publishers seem to think you have to have explicit descriptions of sex and a lot of violence, and you need to have a lot of filthy language to appeal to the public.
Yeah.
They're just adding to it.
I agree. Linda, I got a break.
It's okay to do this.
I've got a hard break here at the bottom of the hour, but I so much appreciate your remarks this morning. And thank you for always being a very classy lady.
That means a lot, Zeb, coming from you, too. It really does. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I'm just disgusted with our society. I really am. And like I said, don't you do-gooders out there on the left say, hey, you, Zeb Bell, you're pointing the finger at us and you're no better than anybody else. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. But, boy, I'm working on trying to clean up my backyard. What's the matter, left? What's the matter, Democrats? Why can't you pick up a rake and clean up your backyard? Don't forget our dear friend, Dr. Christine Pickup, Doctor of Audiology at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And, oh, my, you better start calling over there and make an appointment for a hearing screening. Oh, my goodness sakes, 312-0957. And, by the way, go over and pick up your contest card to be a part of the Sounds of Summer scavenger hunt, with the grand prize being $500 off a pair of mid-level or premium hearing aids. This lady knows sound. This lady knows all about hearing. And if you're having a kind of a reduction in your hearing, you better get a hold of her today. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, 312-0957, right across from the Minidoka Hospital Emergency Room. Hey, it is time to give away a dozen cookies right now. And, of course, our cookie sponsor, Sophie's Chatterbox at 530 East Street in Rupert. Oh, what a bakery. Oh, the cookies and the maple scones and everything else are delicious, along with what a restaurant at 530 East Street in Rupert, right on the square, Sophie's Chatterbox. And here's the question for this morning. To first-time winners only, and it's an easy one, real easy one. What singing group did Ken Curtis, better known as Festus, on Gunsmoke, sing with? What singing group did Ken Curtis, better known as Festus on Gunsmoke, sing with for quite a few years? What was the name of the group? Call me at 436-2244. 1-866-927-4587. Quickly, first-time winners only. Don't cheat out there. Just first-time winners. Give me a call. What singing group did Ken Curtis, the actor that played Festus on Gunsmoke, what singing group did he sing with? A lot of people, when they look at old Festus, the character on Gunsmoke, and they're shocked to think that he was quite a singer. Good morning, you're on the air.
Hi.
Hi.
Is it the Sons of the Pioneers?
What's your name?
Norma.
Norma what?
Kraus, Kraus.
Well, Norma Kraus, you are so right. It was the Sons of the Pioneers, and he sang with them from 49 to 1952. But, Norma, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. He was also a very talented musician. A lot of people don't realize that. And he played with one of the biggest name bands in the United States. Do you know what band he played for?
Let me see.
Well, go ahead.
No, I don't. I'm sorry.
Well, it'll amaze you, but when you look at the craggy old Festus character, he actually played for the Tommy Dorsey Band.
Oh, hey.
Yeah,
Cool.
There you go. And how about this little bit of trivia on Ken Curtis? He actually was contracted to sing as a vocalist when he replaced Frank Sinatra.
Oh, my goodness. I know I've heard him sing, and he had a wonderful voice.
Do you follow old Western movies like I do? I mean, I'm a nut about old Western movies. In the movie Rio Grande, he was one of the cavalrymen, along with John Wayne in John Wayne's troop. And they brought members of the Sons of the Pioneers on that movie, and they serenaded John Wayne's wife.
And you're going to ask me what the song was.
No. I'm not going to ask you. I'm just saying that he did.
Oh, I love it.
Well, thank you, Norma. You are the winner. Call up Sophie's and tell them when you want your cookies and go over and pick them up.
Okay. Thank you. Have a good day.
All right. Thank you much.
Bye.
Yep. It was the Sons of the Pioneers. What a talented guy. You know, he went to school to be involved in medicine. He did. And then he quit medical school. And he was a great, accomplished musician. Played the flute, and he was in the Tommy Dorsey Band. And wow, could he sing. He could sing. But then he got that job as Festus on Gunsmoke. And, boy, you talk about a difference of characters right there. I had a chance to meet Mr. Ken Curtis at Clovis, California, and when I was announcing the Clovis Rodeo. And quite frankly, it was one of the big thrills of my life. And a nice Nice gentleman. Absolutely. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to talk a little bit about how far is the idiotic left going to go? Hold on just a minute. Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center at 924 Christian Way in Rupert. Number to call, 436-3200. And they make every effort to make Autumn Haven the best place for your loved one. And they absolutely open the door and say, come on in. Visit us anytime for tours and just check them out. Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center, the only locally owned and operated assisted living facility in the Mini-Cassia area. All right, call them, 436-3200. They're small compared to some, but with a bigger heart than most. Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center in Rupert. You know, it's unbelievable to me how the left, and yes, I'll say it again, the Democrats, can stoop in the gutter and do things that are so absolutely irrational, so unprofessional, and so totally insane. There is a public-funded organization called Shakespeare in the Park in New York City. It's a summer series of a play that they run, I guess, almost daily, 6 days or 7 days a week. And it is a modern-day, it's a modern-day interpretation of Julius Caesar. Now, what they did, and this is where it gets so stinking, what they did is the main character, Julius Caesar, has been made up to be and look like exactly Donald Trump. They're taking the play of Julius Caesar and they're transitioning it to modern day times. And basically what they're doing is showing Donald Trump being assassinated. Chew on that for a minute. Chew on that for a moment. What would have happened had I or anyone else put together a play, a modernization of Julius Caesar's play Et tu, Brutus, and done that with Obama being the lead character, or, of course, dressed up as the lead? Why, there would have been an outcry that you could have heard from here to the North Pole. There would have been reverberations. The earth would have trembled. The Democrats and the liberals absolutely would have been in the streets throwing rocks at windows or whatever. It would have been total chaos. It's okay for these idiots, and that's what they are. I will name call in this circumstance. They are idiots. To have a so-called Julius Caesar set to modern times with Donald Trump being killed. Some of the sponsors have decided, oops, and they're pulling out. Some of the sponsors. Some of the other sponsors that remain should absolutely be chastised. What are your thoughts? This thing's going crazy, folks. This thing by the liberal left called Hate Donald Trump, do anything, say anything, create anything to smear, besmirch, and throw his presidency out of whack has gone too far. We have lost any sense of decency in this country. And for the foul-mouthed, which they are, Democratic left to say, well, he hasn't done anything, well, which is a misnomer and a lie. But how in the world can they get this administration, if it were an airplane, off the ground when you've got a bunch of dingbats that are absolutely stupid, frivolous people, selfish to their own cause, that are doing all they can to disrupt this man and trying to make America great again? Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Deb. This hurts my heart. when Americans have elected a president, and he certainly is trying to do a lot of good, and yet, because they didn't elect him, they are doing everything they can to get him to retire. Well, I think that he's a New Yorker. I think he's dealt with people like this before. And if he can just shrug it off, the worst thing is what it's doing to President Trump's little boy.
Well, you know something?
Imagine when he goes to school,
oh, yeah,
or whatever, how he must feel.
Oh, absolutely. How would you like to be a 10-year-old or 11-year-old boy of the President of the United States, just like you said, just like you mentioned, go to school and have your other sibling or your other peers go up to you and say, well, I saw a severed head that looked like your dad, and Kathy Griffin was holding it. Ha ha, chuckle, chuckle. That's got to be so demeaning and so hurtful to a young man like that.
Yes, I can imagine, because you're so sensitive at that time in your life.
Absolutely.
You're going from a child to an adult, and so much is going on in your body and everything. And the dad is so important in a child's life. And if something looks like it's going to hurt him, it could just ruin his life for the rest of, the time. And I don't know. I think that Democrats they've got to feel a little shame.
Well, let me ask you.
This is just wrong.
Oh, let me ask you real quick, Chris, and I've had another lady respond earlier. Linda called. I want to get your honest appraisal of this. What do you think, honestly, about the usage of certain words by the Democrats that absolutely are so foul? You'll never hear them on this program, I guarantee you that. But the Democrats are throwing it out in public speeches on television. What do you think about that?
Well, they just think that they've got the standards and they can set them, and if they do it, it must be okay. But try have the Republicans or the conservatives act like that, and it would be blasted all over the world that we were just hypocrites and mean-spirited. I don't know. This is scary for our country, because when our enemies see this happening to the leadership of our country, they think that we're weak.
Well, we are.
That gives them a road into mayhem.
Well, I think we are weak, and I'll tell you why. Right now, and I've said this privately, and I've said it publicly on this program last week, I think that because of Democratic Senator Harry Reid implementing the use of the nuclear option, it's fair game. I think the Republicans ought to hit the Congress and the Senate full bore, running down the field, stop over any Democrat that is in the way and run them over and get some bills passed that are good for America. I don't care if the Democrats are standing in the way. Step over them. We've got to get this country back on its feet.
And I think the Republicans are strong enough. I think they have a little majority. They better just get together and start pulling the ropes and take care of things. Because I think Trump has already done wonderful things.
Well, I had somebody come up to me and say, well, you're really anti-Democrat on your program, anti-Democratic Party, and they looked at me as if I was going to give some kind of a excuse or a lame sorry, and I won't do that. I just looked at him and said, yeah, I am. I don't like anything about their platform. I think they're a party of sleaze and no class when you have someone like Democratic Senator Kirsten Gillibrand using the F word along with the Democratic Chairman, Tom Perez. What kind of class is that? What kind of an example is that? And I think, yes, they're a party of no class.
Well, and if they had class, they would have gone after that lady that I can't even remember her name. She's so ugly. That was holding that mock head of Trump.
Kathy Griffin.
They would have gone after her. But they're just rallying and egging her on. I think our country is so divided. I just hope somewhere along the way the sense comes back into America.
I agree. Chris, it's always a pleasure to have you on the air. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Hey, don't forget on Thursdays we have a segment called It's Time to Grow with Tony McCammon, and, of course, with the University of Idaho Horticulture Department. There you go. And that's on Thursdays at 9:15. Look forward to it. Caller, I've got to ask your indulgence. Stay with me for a moment. I've got to get a weather forecast on. Just stay right there. Riverview Urgent Care at 382 North Overland and Burley. Twin Falls Urgent Care at 2392 Addison Avenue East in Twin. And Jerome Urgent Care, 133 West Avenue A in Jerome. Minor emergencies, major care. The doctor will see you now, not in 4 or 5 days. No memberships required. Everybody welcome. Open 7 days a week. The Urgent Cares. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Here's your weather forecast as we saddle up and ride for the weekend. This is what it looks like for today. Partly cloudy for this morning, but that's going to give way to afternoon rain showers and thunderstorms, about a 50% chance. High of 63 for today. A little bit on the breezy side tonight. 90% chance of rain showers is expected with a low of 45. Tomorrow, more rain showers will continue with a high of 62. For tomorrow night, winds are going to be picking up out of the southwest, about 20 miles an hour, low of 43. But everything going to be calming down for Wednesday and a high of 72. That is your weather for Zebeth Rand.
Thank you, Gina. Appreciate it. Riverview Urgent Care in Burley. Twin Falls Urgent Care Twin. Jerome Urgent Care in Jerome. Kyle James and all of the staff, they wish you the best. Minor emergencies, major care. Good morning. You're on the air. Thank you for your patience.
Good morning. Well, let's talk about that Sharia thing. Get it out of America. Don't even look at it. What kind of people are out there even looking at it?
Yeah. Well, you know, you're bringing up what happened yesterday and through the weekend with over 28 towns or cities in this United States and protests denouncing and demanding that Sharia law never be accepted in the United States. I never thought, honestly, and I don't think you did either, caller, I never thought that it would resort to the point where we'd have to be worried about the implementation of Sharia law. But now, with all the Muslim influence in this country, I think we have to be, and we have to remain very tough.
Get them out.
I can't argue that point at all. I've never been in favor of what's going on. I've never been in favor for allowing a group of people to come in with their ideology and transform America, but it's coming.
Not in my world.
Well, I respect you for saying that.
I can do it. Just continue that. That's a fact.
Well, I appreciate your call.
I've looked at this stuff, and I've watched these people, okay, like Maxine Waters.
Yes.
What is with her? Get her out of there. That there is a bad influence on everybody.
I totally agree.
And she's the one that's going to try and implement that kind of stuff.
You know, Maxine Waters is she's an original. She is an original hater of anything that bodes towards decency or class.
She's a racist.
She is.
That's what you call a racist. Right there is the epitome of racist. You
know, the division of the races, right.
When somebody calls you a racist, you know, it's time to turn around and say thank you very much.
Yeah.
You created it.
I agree with your concept. I never know when you're going to finish a sentence or not.
Muhammad Ali changed his name because he didn't want to be part of America.
Yeah.
And people are praising that thing? I don't think so.
I agree with you.
But I'm starting to get flustered here, and I've got to go.
All right, my friend. Thank you. Thank you. Bring up some excellent points this morning. Thank you very much. Thank you. I agree with the caller. Quite frankly, who's playing the race card right now? Who's throwing it up and absolutely waiting for it to bounce around in the airwaves a little bit? And it's the Democrats. This race and this division and this bigotry and this, oh, you're a hate monger. Now, let me just say, I've been called a racist about 9 years ago. And it really puts you through the keyhole. It does. But then I learned, thanks to a very dear friend, stand up and fight back. Look them in the eye and return the favor of just saying, basically, that they are low class, they are uneducated, and they are for nothing more than disrupting our society. That's what I did, and it won. Oh, they were coming after me. Oh, yeah. I didn't like Barack Obama. Don't like Barack Obama. Didn't trust his politics or his ideology. Oh, you're a racist! No, I'm not. Because these nincompoops at the same time didn't realize by not listening to whatever was said on this program that I was an advocate for Condoleezza Rice to run for president. But they didn't hear that. They have selective hearing, selective knowledge, if they have any. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. But, you know, these plays and Kathy Griffin holding a severed head that looks like our President Trump, and this filth and this garbage and this sleaze and this, again, low class that's being displayed by the Democratic left, you got to ask yourself, really, every day, how much lower can they go? And will people finally say, the good people in this country, will they finally say, enough is enough? Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah. Speaking of Barack Obama, I don't like the white part of him, so does that make me racist?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yes, you're a hater. You're a bigot. My goodness, what's the matter with you, lady? You fall right into the same category with me. Well, we can't criticize him. Why, we're haters.
They have got so far off of the meaning of racist and bigot and I forgot the name of the other one. I mean, they have gone so far to the left. Imagine that.
Yeah. Let me ask you, and you're a lady that calls in with some really good points on various occasions. What do you think about this public taxpayer-funded Shakespeare in the Park play summer series in New York that you and I basically as taxpayers are funding? And it shows a modern-day version of the play of Julius Caesar of Trump being assassinated. That is as low-class and disgusting as it gets.
Try and get taxpayer money to do something completely the opposite of this and see how much money they'll give you.
Good point. Good point. Excellent point. You know,
it's ridiculous. If they had tried anything like this with Obama,
yeah, oh boy,
they'd have been all going to jail.
Would there have been fires in the streets? My goodness, they couldn't have stood that. Let me ask you real quick. Give me a short answer on this because I'm almost out of time. But what did you think about the Democratic leadership, like Perez and this filthy Democratic senator, this woman from New York, Kirsten Gillibrand, now having to rely on the F-bomb to get their point across?
Then they don't have much of a point.
I agree. You are always welcome on the show. Thank you so much for calling. I appreciate it. Thank you. I like her. Hey, don't forget your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Doing the right thing matters. You know what? That's a slogan they ought to send over to the other party. Doing the right thing matters. It always has. It always will. It always happens at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. They are the best. I'm proud to stand up and say to everybody that they are the best at what they do. Absolutely all 7 locations here in the Magic Valley with the best of tires for you, the best of tread designs for your pickup and SUVs, your cars. I don't care what you need tires for. You got them. You've got them at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. And also the best in brake service, the best in front end alignment, shocks and struts and batteries. But you know what? Always first class, best of service. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. The best, because they do the right thing because it matters. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Well. Coming up next hour, Vicky at Vicky's Country Gardens. And then at 9:30, Larry Pratt. He's been on my program before. He is the political analyst and executive director of Gun Owners of America. Very interesting, man. And then Rachel Alexander at 10:06. Cody Wilson, new to our show, and we're going to have him on at 10:30 this morning. But right now, we're going to let everybody kind of settle down, take a deep breath, and listen to CBS News. And then we'll come back in about 7 minutes, rile you all back up again, right here on Zeb at the Ranch. Have a great day on a Monday, June the 12th, and Wheels, take it away. Oh, here we go. Hour number 2 on a Monday. Do you realize it's already June 12th? Holy cow, in a couple of weeks. Yup. 4th of July. Hey, listen, Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, along with some of our great advertisers like Western Way Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Way Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Way Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Way Services.
We had a big family gathering here yesterday with some friends and family, and the wind and the nasty weather drove us into the garage. Deanne has put a lot of emphasis on cleaning out the garage, and we had a wonderful time in the garage. But you know what? You gotta throw stuff away, and you need dumpsters to clean out garages and basements and offices like mine. So they've got different sized dumpsters for you. I need the big one for cleaning out things and getting rid of them. They'll deliver a dumpster and then they'll come and get it once it's full. Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Call them at 734-6969. Yeah, buddy, some good people. Hey, by the way, too, I want to remind you that Ark Animal Hospital, Dr. Bill, Dr. Liz, the whole crew over there at Ark Animal Hospital, 750 21st Street at Heyburn, right near Connection Credit Union. And they have been voted again Minnecache's best veterinary hospital for multiple years. And the summer is the season for ticks and fleas. Itch, scratch. I'll tell you what, you better watch out for ticks. Be prepared, and your pet can get ticks and can give them to you. Be careful. Ark Animal Hospital, 750 21st Street in Heyburn, 678-1177. They have warm hearts for cold noses. Yes, they do. Really good folks. I got time for a call or two, so give me a jingle. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to mention that Brevard County, Florida Sheriff Wayne Ivey, he goes into the Zeb Bell Hall of Fame because he's got courage. He's got courage. He's got backbone. He's got spine. And he came out and said over the weekend, arm yourselves. Be ready. We're at war. You know what? He brought up a lot of good common sense statements. And to the mishy-mashy liberal left that says, oh, let's all hold hands and make a fire and have chocolate s'mores and sing Kumbaya. This sheriff makes some sense. We are at war, and little by little, inch by inch, step by step, like the Abbott and Costello routine, radical Islam and their invasionary forces are coming here to this United States in stronger numbers than ever. Be prepared. And this sheriff said, protect yourself. Protect your family. And he said, if you've got a permit to carry, carry. Don't leave the gun at home in a drawer. The gun does no good in an emergency when it's at home in the dresser drawer. And I think he's 100% right. Give me a call. Hey, by the way, let's not forget, too, Our friends at Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. Hello, Joel Heward. We've got to have him back on the air and visit with us again here in the near future. And his family and his staff, all of those folks, working really hard to serve you and your family when there's the passing of a loved one, to help you with all the arrangements. You don't have to go to them, they'll come to you. And always serving you with the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. That's the folks at Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. All you have to do is call and get more information. 436-5636. That number again, 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary in Rupert, serving you. I got time, like I said, for a jingle on the landline. Give me a call if you would. I'd love to hear from you. You know, really, I've said this for a long time, and many others have said it, and we're going to be talking to Larry Pratt at 9:30. You know, protect yourself. The police cannot be all places at once in just like that. They can't. You are the first line of defense for your property, your home, and yourself. And you should learn the methods of how you can protect yourself. Look around and see how secure your area is, or you are. And like the man said on television, this Sheriff Wayne Ivey, learn how to protect yourself and your family and practice it. There you go. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Let's ride where the fun is sold, and that tagline has been used by them since I gave it to them many, many years ago, and others are trying to infiltrate and copy it, but the original place where the fun is sold, let's ride. Don't do business with anybody else but the people that really take care of you, and that's Let's Ride at 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays 9 to 4, and now's a great time to go in and check out all the watercraft, all the four-wheelers, all the side-by-sides, all the great place where the fun is sold. That's their line. That's what they do. Discount the others. And don't forget, they have a great accessory department and a great service department. They really care. At Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, where the fun is sold. Really good, folks. Let's see, one other good word here this morning before we get to Vicky's Country Garden. I've got so much for Vicky's Country Garden this morning. Woo, she is going to really feel like, look out, here comes the herd. Well, I'll tell you what, when you're also over in that Rupert area, don't forget our friends at Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. My, life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employ without the L. It's a new word, employee benefits, and so much more. They're very dedicated and responsive to your needs. I'm upset this morning. And they can help you. All you have to do is just make a call and make an appointment. They'll get in there to the office, and they'll just absolutely help you and make sure you're protected. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert, 436-4424. Work with the very, very best. Oh, my goodness sakes, what else have we got? Any public service announcements? I have not heard, and I hope it was really successful, how the Mini-Cassia Relay for Life went on Saturday. I absolutely was a big advocate of their success, and I know Debbie Critchfield called in numerous times and gave us information about the Relay for Life this year, and I certainly hope they made a lot of money in fighting cancer and money for cancer research. God bless all of them, the Mini-Cassia Relay for Life. Right now, without further ado, it is time for one of my favorite segments with one of my favorite people, and that's Gardening for Idiots, named after me and sponsored by Vicky's Country Garden at 185 South, 600 West of Paul. And now, ladies and gentlemen, entering stage left, the one, the only, here's Vicky.
Good morning, Zeb. How are we on this nice rainy morning?
I'm sick and tired of having nice 85 to 90 degree days drop down to 50s and 60s and wind and rain. I'll bet the gardens are sick of it, too.
Well, it's a little hard for the plants to decide quite what they want to do, but this cool weather's not going to really hurt anything if we don't get some severe wind and some hard rain. That can do some damage. That breaks plants off and causes problems that way. But the coolness isn't really going to be a major problem for the garden.
Yeah, but wait a minute. What about like yesterday? Were the winds high enough? They were pretty high here. I mean, we had to move everything from our family gathering, our big picnic and everything into the old garage. Did they hurt anything yesterday?
Well, I don't think so. Of course, at my place, the wind didn't get as bad as it's been. The main thing that you get worried about is like the larger tomatoes can get snapped off at the ground if you don't have some support on them. And that's why I've always said, get your tomato cages on your plants early and get them staked down solidly tight, even stake the cages down, because the cages can pull out of the ground and take your plants over too. So put your tomato cages on and then stake your tomato cages. That's just how you prevent wind damage. Because that can be a major problem with the tomatoes, especially as they start to grow and get bigger.
Oh, okay. So keep them like caged gorillas.
Yeah, you need to just really, like I say, figure out a way of, if you haven't got the real heavy, sturdy cages on your tomatoes, figure out a way to anchor those cages down so they can't get to, because those tomatoes are big inside of them. If the wind hits them just right, the tomato can start to lean and pull the tomato cage out of the ground. So take your cages down pretty good so that they can't give to the wind and the pull of the tomato.
A lady sent me a note, an email, and she said, ask Miss Vicki, in all the 20 years they were listening, they know you're celebrating 20 years in business, in all the 20 years that you've been in the Vicki's Country Garden business, have you seen a more erratic spring than what we're having right now?
Not really. It's been the winter. Last year was fairly erratic also, if you remember. We had a lot of ups and downs last year, too. And then it kind of leveled off and got fairly warm. We didn't get any real high temperatures, real hot ones for any length of time. But it still leveled off. So I'm hoping this year will do the same thing. But it has been a very odd year. And it could just finish the year out that way. It could be, and it will tell on the produce and that if we don't get some good, steady, hot weather, corn and, potatoes and a lot of garden produce, they require that steady heat instead of 2 days of warm and 4 days of cool.
Yeah. Now, I get a letter like this every week, and a very, very nice gentleman sent a letter, and he said that my wife and I have been gone. We've been visiting our son and daughter down in California. We just got back, and we always grow a garden, but we've been gone for over 7 weeks, and we got back. Is it still early enough or time enough to grow a garden, or should we have to bag it for this year?
Oh, they've still got time for garden. Beans will come up real fast, and and a lot of people do 2 plantings of beans. They plant a set, even late in the fall. So beans and that peas, it's getting a little bit late on those. If we get some hot weather, that'll stop those. But potatoes will still grow. There's short varieties of potatoes. We have the dark red Norlands. That's a 75-day potato. So there's plenty of time for that. Corn is just getting planted and just starting to come up on a lot of places. So, you've got plenty of time. Squash, cucumbers, those are all quick growers. So I wouldn't hesitate on anything. If we happen to have a late fall, you're in good shape. Even if we don't, the majority of stuff we'll still make and do fine.
Okay, we've got a letter here from a lady from Burley, and she asked, and boy, this is a long, long letter, and I've highlighted some to ask you, but I'm going to condense it down even further. She says, my rose bushes are being eaten by some kind of an insect cannibal. What's going on? There's holes in all the leaves. What can I do?
If it's the little half moons taken out of the outside edge of the leaves, looks just like you've taken some scissors, like pinking shears, and made little cutouts all around the edges. That's the leaf cutter bee, The hay is all pretty much down right now. They don't have anything to chew on in the hay field. They're the pollinizers and that in the hay that work in the hay field, and so they move into the rose leaves. Doesn't hurt the roses at all. Just makes them look a little funny. Really, there isn't a whole lot you can do about them because they'll leave as soon as the hay starts to grow again. They'll move back out into that. If you've got aphid or something like that, check the backs of your leaves. Then you need to get some spray on them, or you can put down the rose and flower fertilizer and systemic that will go into the plant and keep the aphid, and sometimes keep the leaf cutters off of the plant because it's in the leaf and they don't like to bite it because it has the chemical in the leaf. And you put it on about once a month, and it pretty much protects your roses. You can even use it around a lot of your flowers and stuff too. It's a nice fertilizer, and it has the systemic insecticide in it that will help keep those kind of things off your roses.
Okay. Now, this next letter that we had sent to us is kind of interesting because I can relate to what this person is saying. I don't know if it was a man or a woman because they just had on the bottom of the letter a listener. So I'm just going to say this person said they are afraid of bees. They're afraid of being stung because they are allergic to bees, but everybody is telling them to leave the bees alone. Well, what about somebody that likes a garden, but they're scared of being stung by the bees?
Well, that is a real problem because bees are a part of the garden, especially honeybees. They're your pollinators, and you have to have the bees in order to have garden produce. So either go out and dress protected for it, that type of a thing. As a rule, the bees are not out early in the morning and late in the evening because when it starts to cool down, they're usually out during the heat part of the day, so maybe stay out of the garden during the real hot part of the day. Get your work done in the garden in the early morning when it's still quite cool and the bees haven't just quite come out yet.
Okay. Hey, I got to ask you a personal question on that because I also am allergic to bee stings and hornet stings. What about these worthless hornets? What good are they other than just causing you to swell up and look stupid for about 48 hours?
That's kind of about what they're good for. And the sad thing about hornets is they will run the honeybees off.
Really?
So if you can find the hornet's nest, kind of look for them. If you can find them, again, late in the evening, about dark, or early in the morning, get your sprays and hit those nests and kill them as much as you can and run them off because they do dominate over honeybees. And if you've got a grape, like some grapevines and that type of thing, they will eat your grapes. They will suck them right down to raisins, and you won't have any nice grapes. And they will sting. They will go in and hit apples. They'll hit peaches. You'll see black spots all over them where the dang hornets have gone in and hit them because they like the nectar. They like the sweetness, the juice out of them is what's drawing them in there.
Well,
so
yeah, but
you can find their nest, and usually it's in a hot, dry place. If you can find their nest, try to get rid of them. But they are a problem in a garden.
And I tell you what, here we've had them in my tractor. We've had them burrow, it seems like, right through the side of the barn and make nests or up in the ceilings and everything. Is there an effective spray, or what do you recommend to get rid of those nasty things?
Well, there are some good. When you look at your wasp sprays, they're pressurized to where they'll shoot about 15 feet in the air. So you can stand back, but it's got to be a pretty good aim. But you can kill them instantly with that spray. It drops them out of those nests like they're instantly dead. Those are good sprays to get a hold of. But again, you're going to get the biggest kill on them if you do it just before daylight. If you know where the nests are at, go out early in the morning when they're still congregated in their nest, and then hit them that way. Or late in the evening when they start going back in.
Okay.
They're not a nighttime flyer, so consequently, early morning, late night, if you can find the nest and just spray the daylights out of them, and you will kill them and get rid of them that way.
Okay. And we had a letter about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I'm trying to find it as we're talking here this morning. There was a gentleman that wrote a letter, and he said, of all the different insecticides is there anything that people with various health problems, kidney disease or anything like that, they should stay away from using? And I thought that was a good question, and I forgot to ask you about that.
Well, if you've got any of those kind of diseases, you just want to be extremely careful. You don't want to get it on your skin. You don't want it. You want to wear a mask. You want to wear gloves. You want to wear protective clothing, because there's no actual. They haven't come out and said certain chemicals are bad for certain things. You just don't know how they're going to react. So just protect yourself every way you can. Don't inhale it. Don't get it on you. Glove up. Put some good rubber gloves on. Wear some heavier clothing. Cover yourself good if you're using insecticides, because they can get into the system and they can cause problems.
Mm-hmm.
Especially some people are very allergic to things. So just as a safety precaution, don't just go out in a pair of shorts and a tank top and just start to get your hands in the chemical and mixing it and going, because you can get sick from it. Take all the precautions you can, and that's about the best defense you have.
Absolutely. Vicki, I've noticed in the last couple of days that the gnats, and we only got time for one more question, the gnats are terrible, terrible. What's going on here? Why so much?
Well, we've got a lot of moisture. We've had a lot of moisture in the air, and they like the heat, the humidity type situation is what gnats like. And unfortunately, this is their time frame to hatch out and breed. And if you've got any damp, wet areas around horse troughs or anything like that, they're kind of like mosquitoes. They will breed in that kind of a atmosphere. You can spray for them, but you're going to be spraying pretty much on a daily basis, because gnats are they have a very short life cycle, and they reproduce very, very fast. They reproduce in less than 24 hours.
Wow. Okay, what's happening? What kind of specials are going on at Vicki's Country Garden?
Well, we've got kind of a summer sale going on. We've got our peppers on 25% off. Our cabbages are 25% off. We've got all of our annuals, petunias, pansies, geraniums, all that type of stuff is 25% off, so you can get your yard all finished up and done up and ready for the 4th of July.
Hey, I tell you, that's right around the corner. Vicki's Country Garden, located at 185 South 600 West of Paul. And what's your garden tip for the week, if you don't mind, quickly?
Well, with this cool weather and all this rain coming in, if you've got cucumbers, squash, pumpkins, that type of thing planted, do not keep them too wet, because if the cool nights, they can damp off on you. So just don't overwater, with the fact that we could get some heavy rainstorms coming in, and you don't want them sitting there in the ground real sloppy, wet, and cold with these cooler nights. So just be real careful on your cucumbers, your squash, your pumpkins, your melons, those kind of things. They have a very watery stem, and if they get too wet and they get too cold, they will damp off right at the ground, and that means they die right at the ground. They turn brown and lay over and die. So be careful with your watering during this cool snap.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, the worst enemy ever known to hornets and wasps, Vicki at Vicki's Country Garden in Paul, 438-5663. God bless you, Vicki, and talk to you next week.
All righty, Zeb. Everybody have a good week.
All right. Take care. God bless. Thank you so much. I love that lady. I've got a lot of respect for Vicki. She is really sharp on everything about your gardens. Hey, in just a moment, we're going to have Larry Pratt on the air from the Gun Owners of America. Stand by for that. Also want to remind you, of course, about Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center at 924 Christian Way in Rupert. Number to call, 436-3200. They really encourage you to call. They encourage you to visit and see the facility anytime for tours and check them out for the possibility of your loved ones staying there at Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center. They're the only locally owned and operated assisted living facility in the Mini-Cassia area, and they really make strides to make sure that all their residents really are involved in different community events, and they've got backyard barbecues barbecues going on all the time during the summer, absolutely the best place. Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center, 924 Christian Way in Rupert. They're small compared to some, but with a bigger heart than most. All right, let's go to the phone line right now, and I've been looking forward to having this man back on my program ever since he was here the last time, and I'm sure we're going to have a really interesting conversation. What's the matter, Wheels? I heard you clear your throat.
Oh, nothing. I was just letting you know that I'm trying to get him on the line still.
All right, well, keep trying. Keep firing, okay? And we'll see why we're maybe a moment or two late. He might be there. We're just a tad early, so we'll see what we can do to get him on the air. And calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, tomorrow on Dr. History, we've had a change. Dr. History is on a family vacation, kind of a family week where they're enjoying themselves. I think they're up at, I forgot what lake they're at. But anyway, we're going to have a gentleman on his program tomorrow, Dr. History, called Sam Walker. And his distant history, if memory serves me correct, goes all the way back to the Colt family. And he's going to be talking about that innovative gun that a lot of people became aware of with the 1960s TV series Wyatt Earp called the Buntline Special. We're going to find out more about that and other guns of the Old West tomorrow when we have Sam Walker on our program. And that's going to be at 10:06 tomorrow morning. Let's check with Wheels and see if we finally have tracked him down.
I have. Give me one moment, sir.
All right. In just a moment, we're going to be visiting with Larry Pratt, and he's a political analyst and executive director of Gun Owners of America. And, Wheels, are we ready to fly? Let's go.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you. Larry, good morning. How are you, sir?
Well, just fine. It's great to be with you.
I really enjoyed having you on the air with us a couple of weeks ago, and tell us a little bit about what you do as Executive Director of Gun Owners of America. Really, what does it mean? What's your job every day?
Well, I do an awful lot of what I'm doing right now. There's happily a part of our activity that takes advantage of so many of the talk shows that are interested in the freedom agenda, in limited government, in constitutional government. And Gun Owners of America has been able to get its message out that way. And it's just very encouraging to me. When I'm down, I try to remember that, there's some holes still in this country. And one of the evidence is the number of talk shows that are interested in seeing America, to coin a phrase, to become great again.
Yeah. And Larry, you're always welcome on this show because I honestly have seen and am seeing every day more of the bricks of our foundation of this country. And the Democratic left seems to be taking a chisel and a hammer to them and trying to knock down the buildings. When I see some of the sleaze, when I see some of the changes that are anti-American, anti-Constitution, it makes me fighting mad. But why is it, in your opinion, that there is a naive attitude in this country? People just don't seem to care anymore.
Well, I think one of the things we're fighting is the result of the education that even somebody with my years was beginning to get in schools, and now it's rampant, where the instruction, either overtly or kind of tacitly, gives the idea that, at a minimum, there's really nothing special about this country. And at worst, there's teaching that tries to get kids to believe that this is the worst place on earth, that we have oppressed the rest of the world, everything bad that happens derives from U.S. foreign policy. So one of the things that those kids never get to look at, perhaps, is a picture of the thousands of crosses on the beaches of Normandy, or the many other evidences of the United States setting peoples free from tyranny over the years around the world. What kind of a terrible country indeed. Maybe the left resents the fact that we've kept communism from being clamped down on all the world.
Yeah. You know, last week, the nation celebrated, I hope somewhat, D-Day, the invasion, Normandy Beach, etc. And I wonder how many teachers, I wonder how many people in education took the time to remember all the deaths of our military veterans on those days when they invaded the beach for the security and freedom of our nation, or did they overlook it altogether?
It's quite possible they weren't even aware of it. And again, I think if it weren't for talk radio, a lot of Americans would have gone right past that date and not paid it a never mind. And that's kind of sad, because there were people, young men, typically 19 years old, that were involved in storming those beaches in Normandy. And they knew that many of them were going to die within hours that day, and they did it anyway because of the cause that they were involved in.
You know, Larry, we're seeing another invasion in this country, and it's not a good one. I am absolutely adamant that I stand up for President Trump's travel ban. I stand up for his much more severe vetting process. I stand up for eliminating or stopping many, many people coming in from various countries around the world. What are your thoughts? I think we're being much too lenient.
I quite agree. When one takes a candid assessment of Islam, when you read the Quran, you have to realize that the verses that they consider binding, and what I mean by that is there's some peaceful verses about making nice with unbelievers, and those have been, and their word is abrogated. They've been done away with by the later verses toward when Muhammad was older, saying, kill the infidels, kill them all. Kill them until they either are all dead or become Muslims, or become dhimmis, paying tribute and living like slaves. That's Islam. That's the Quran. And I don't care if somebody is trying to tell me that, oh, I'm a moderate and I don't go for that. Really? Will you tell me that you think that it's a bunch of baloney in Surah 922 that talks about killing people like me? Do you disavow that? Do you say Muhammad was smoking dope when he said that? Until you tell me that, you're my enemy too.
Why are we, Larry, and you and I, we're kind of like bookends on this subject. We share the same values, I'm sure, but why are we, and I lump a lot of America together on this statement, why are we so naive about what's going on? Do we care? Do we just eat the pablum that the Democratic left is trying to feed us? I mean, what's going on here?
Well, when you've had education that tells you nothing about the nature of the contemporary enemy of America, and when you're busy trying to pay for all of your expenses, your family, your mortgage, and so forth, while the government is busily inflating your money and making it worth less and less and making your job harder and harder to keep your nose above water, it's a little hard to pay attention to something that you're not really aware in many cases is a problem. You're certainly not going to be educated about it on most of the news channels, and I don't even think Fox is all that, by and large, they're not all that concerned, apparently, about informing their viewers about what Islam is all about, that it's a very dangerous religion, and that the people who believe it also are told that they should lie to people like us about what they believe.
Well, Larry, one thing I won't do, and correct me if you think I'm wrong, I won't even give Islam the credence of being a religion. I think it's a very twisted ideology. Am I wrong in my assessment?
Well, I certainly wouldn't want to disagree with that, whether somebody views it as a religion or not. I mean, it does have some sort of notion that if you blow yourself up and kill other people, you go to paradise instantly, so I suppose that could be a religious notion. The problem is Islam has denied Jesus Christ. That means it's not going to end well for anybody who believes that Islam is the way to go. So call it a religion, call it a political ideology of war, probably both are correct. It's not going to end well for those who subscribe to Islam. And I find it very sad that so many millions of people are being so desperately and eternally misled.
I agree. Totally, I agree with your statement. Now, this past weekend, Larry, we saw over 28 cities in the United States have organized marchers, and quite frankly, I'll be very upfront, I would have joined their march against the potentiality of having Sharia law being implemented into our judicial system here in this country, in addition or supplementing our own Constitution. I agree with the marchers, but there again, the naivete of the American public, there were anti-marchers that came out and caused a lot of problem. Why? I don't understand why they would ever want Sharia law implemented in the United States.
Well, those on the hard left have chosen to overlook the fact that if they're a homosexual, they're not being bothered now. But if Sharia is imposed, they're going to be among the first to be thrown off the tops of tall buildings, because that's what happens in Islamic countries. And if they are unbelievers, they're going to be, at best, horribly mistreated. And if they've ever been part of Islam and then have chosen to leave for any reason, death as well is likely to result. They will only apparently, in their ideological stupor, realize, I think I made alliance with the wrong group, when it's too late. And so you've got people on the left who I think they see in Islam and are willing to overlook its threat to them. They see in Islam, they don't like the West, they don't like America, they want to bring America down, so, hey, what's not to like? And so they make common cause with Islam, not realizing that they are preparing the way of their own destruction.
You know, Larry, you've been on the program before, and you're really a straightforward guy on this, and I guess I'm going to say and ask you this. I see the United States right now today, this minute, at more divisiveness than ever. I see more racism. I see more dividing of the racism because of groups like Black Lives Matter, etc. I have never seen in my lifetime, and I'm 69 years old, I've never seen the divisiveness that's there willing to even get wider than it is today. Am I wrong?
That would tend to be my perception, and I'm even a little bit older than you. This is, I think, the result of going back to what we were talking about earlier, the way we're being taught in school. And it's I guess it's, among other things, right out of the playbook of the communist theoretician Saul Alinsky, the University of Chicago professor who was rather influential in the reading list of Barack Obama and an actual friend of Hillary Clinton, because all three of them were from Chicago and had a common link at the University of Chicago. The Alinsky objective is to tear down the United States, to find a way to get it to implode and just collapse. And so if the Black Lives Matter can do it, then hey, they're all behind that. And if they're not willing to consider the fact that if they are successful in doing that, it's not going to be Black Lives Matter that is likely to take over. It's going to be some of these Muslims that have been looking for ways to tear down the United States as well.
You know, Donald Trump has got some holes in his screen door. We all do. None of us is perfect. However, I think the implementation of various aspects of this administration I absolutely applaud, including the travel ban, like the aforementioned 6 countries that we've talked about. But, you know, coming to this country is not a right. It's not a right, it's a privilege, and I think we should be very discerning of who comes here. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, absolutely. I married a lady from Central America, And it took a long time for her to get her citizenship. This wasn't something that she was able to get off the plane and say, well, I'm here, give me everything now. And she rather resents the idea, as I think many people in her situation do, the idea that, oh, well, I'm as you were pointing to, I'm entitled. I've drawn air in, I don't know, Dubai, and therefore I have a right to be in America. Really? That's interesting. That's not going to happen on my watch, though.
But how do we, the people that think this way and still honor the Constitution, still honor the laws of this country, still honor the heritage of all the blood, sweat, and tears that went into giving us this country, how do we fight for it? I mean, I honestly see the millennial generation and many others that are totally willing and acceptable to bringing in Sharia law, to changing our country from a capitalistic system going to socialism. I mean, I'm scared right now, Larry, that we can't keep control of this thing.
I think you're right. We're at a very critical juncture. I don't think it's lost by any means, but I do think we've got to start responding to the arguments that are being made by the left much more often, much more effectively. And I think we've got to show what are the advantages of what it is we believe in. It is the Christian-based, free enterprise, limited government that produced the most prosperous, freest country in the world. You don't see anything comparable at all in Muslim countries. You don't see it in many of the other countries of the world, even close. The only time you see prosperity is if some Western company sets up a plant there, but that's not the result of the culture of that place. And it's nothing, this is certainly not a racial notion. This is a difference based strictly on ideas. Ideas have consequences, and that's something that apparently a lot of the liberals, when it suits them, want to ignore. But the fact is, we are able to enjoy what we enjoy because of what our forefathers brought to this country, what they believed in, and what they were willing to do to save and invest and to teach. And we'd better reclaim that. We'd better rediscover that if we want to continue enjoying what we have with the freedoms and the prosperity that we still enjoy in this country.
One final thought, Larry. Here, even in southern Idaho, especially in the Twin Falls area, with the Refugee Relocation Center at the CSI campus, there are those that live in their little glass houses that sit there and they absolutely are opening their arms for forced refugee relocation to which we, the taxpayers, pay for. I absolutely say, wait a minute, let's stop. Let's really know and evaluate what we're getting into. A different culture, different heritage, different religion, different ideology, and they're not mixing with our Western culture. Why shouldn't we be a little bit more than afraid?
I think what needs to be done is to have a political focus on getting the governor and the sheriffs of the counties of Iowa, and the governor of the state, to tell the feds, you're not putting any more here. If you try to land those planes, you will not be able to let them out. That has actually happened in a few places where the government was trying to offload a bunch of these refugees, and the people of the area, I think this might have been down in Texas or West Florida, they just simply surrounded the plane, and there was no way they could let the people off, and the planes had to take off again with their passengers still on board.
Absolutely.
It's going to take that kind of resistance to send a message. Now, hopefully, the new president is not doing that anymore, but there's still been a lot of damage done, and I think this idea of interposition by the sheriffs and the governors of the country is still appropriate. These people need to be sent back where they came from. They were not invited. They're not willing to become part of our culture, and until they want to do that, go home.
Absolutely. Well, if you ever make it out to southern Idaho, you're more than welcome to come on the program live and direct from my studio, and we'd certainly welcome that. Larry Pratt, political analyst and executive director of Gun Owners of America. Sir, thank you very much for being on the program this morning.
Great to be with you, and I hope folks will go to see us at gunowners.org. We'd love to have them get on our free email list.
All right, Larry. Come back soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, sir. Larry Pratt, with the political analyst and executive director of Gun Owners of America, and we will have him back in the near future. Oh, my. We've got to get a weather forecast in, and then I'd like some of your calls. Come on, folks. You got to get involved. You got to get invigorated. You got to say yes or no to subjects. So give me a call. Our weather brought to you this hour by Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. These are people that really know. I mean, they know how to help you, your family, your business, and believe me, they've been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years. Tax return preparation, tax planning, business consulting, payroll services, retirement planning. The list goes on and on. They can, and they will, help you. All you have to do is get a hold of them. Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company CPAs. We'll tell you more in just a moment. Here's the weather.
Here's your weather forecast as we saddle up and ride for the weekend. This is what it looks like for today. Partly cloudy for this morning, but that's going to give way to afternoon rain showers and thunderstorms, about a 50% chance. High of 63 for today. A little bit on the breezy side tonight. 90% chance of rain showers is expected with a low of 45. Tomorrow, more rain showers will continue with a high of 62. For tomorrow night, winds are going to be picking up out of the southwest, about 20 miles an hour, low 43, but everything going to be calming down for Wednesday and a high of 72. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Wow. Next 2 days might be a little blustery. Hang on to your resistol, boys. Anyway, don't forget, the weather sponsor, Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. You know, they can help so many people, not just with your taxes, but also people starting a business, a partnership, or a corporation, or business owners wanting to hire more employees and kind of get a total scope of what they're doing and where they want to go. All of this and more at Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Offices in Burley and Rupert. You get a hold of them today. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'd like to hear your comments. So give us a jingle on the landline. And, that sheriff, I got to comment on that a little bit more. That sheriff down in Brevard County, Florida, his name is Wayne Ivey. And he said, arm yourself and learn. Arm yourself and learn how to protect yourself and your family. That is so true. You know, I've heard the absolutely frivolous and stupid complaints of the left saying, oh, no, we can't all have guns. Why, it'll be just chaos. No, it won't be. Living in rural areas, especially, you cannot depend on, nor should they have to be held to, well, we'll be there in 5 minutes. No, they can't be. You've got to learn to take care of yourself and your own situation. Now, I know from past experiences, when you do that, you're open for scrutiny from the liberal, whiny, puppy left. I know from a first-hand experience, me, and a situation that we had here about 9 years ago. But you have to learn how to handle it yourself until the authorities arrive. And then back off and let them take care of it. But we have to protect our families. I mean, today more than ever before, you pick up a newspaper, you turn on the television or the radio, and the home invasions, the property invasions, or the absolute loss of life because somebody just doesn't care anymore, and what they want they're going to take. You have to be able to protect yourself and your family. And the law, standing there or sitting down and saying, well, there's certain limitations as to what you can do and can't do. All I can say is, when it's a matter of grave concern as to your welfare, your wife's or your children, who cares about the nitwit left and their virtual protection of the bad guys? Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Here's what we got cooking for this next hour. We have a lady that's been on my program many, many times, moved to Arizona, and she writes for The Stream. And she's going to give us kind of a compiled reaction, if you will, as to what happened with James Comey and his testimony this last week and how many absolute holes in the screen door he created. And then a new guest to our program schedule is coming up at 10:32 this morning, the owner of GhostGunner.net. And that's Cody Wilson. And he specifically is going to talk about get yourself prepared. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Quickly, I got a minute left.
Zeb, I'm just thinking one thing. It's no longer open range policy with what you're saying.
Well, that's true, but I'll tell you what, Earl, I think when it comes to the defense of our families and our property and ourselves, I'd rather take action to protect them than I would let the heinous left come in and destroy what I've worked for.
That's exactly what I'm saying. I mean, they're using that same attitude.
Well, I certainly... How's everything up on the mountain this morning, Earl? I've
been here trying to put hay up for maybe 10 days, and I'm getting a lot of exercise, and I'm finding myself taking naps when I probably ought to be doing something.
I'll tell you what, the way the weather forecast is for the next 48 hours, take a long nap. I've got to run to the CBS News, Earl. God bless you, man. Thanks.
See you then.
All right. Hey, we're going to send it over to my itty-bitty buddy right now. He's going to take us up to CBS News. Wheels, take it away, old friend. That gets you going. A little dancing music right there. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations. Doing the right thing matters, and they provide the best of tires, brake service, etc. All these folks are really, really good, including some of our great advertisers like Western Waste Services, always at your disposal, 734-6969. Well, we're going to have a lovely lady on the phone with us momentarily that's been here many, many times in the past, and she writes for The Stream. But right now I want to remind you, Ag Express is looking for drivers. That's right, they're looking for drivers, full and part-time positions. Retired folks are welcome to apply, and they'll work around your schedule 2 or 3 days a week, whatever works best for you. And you're home every night, and you're using new and maintained equipment, and you got great vacation schedules, benefit programs, 401k plans. Oh my, you'd better apply. Ag Express, Dale and Paul, 438-8886, Allen in Twin Falls, 731-2495, and Russ in Burley, 431-7175. Ag Express is looking for drivers. Ag Express is looking for you. Right now, let's go to the phone line, and as I said, a very talented writer with The Stream. And good morning to Rachel Alexander. How are you?
I'm doing awesome, actually, this morning. How are you?
Well, you're now living in Arizona, and you're now coming into the warm season. Are you still as tickled about living in the Grand Canyon State as you were a couple of months ago?
Well, after going back to Washington, Seattle area a lot of times over the last few years, not really by choice,
Yeah, I got to say, even with the heat, I'm really glad to be back here because I just can't take the liberalism.
That a girl. All right. Now, you wrote a piece in the Stream called What to Expect During Comey's Congressional Testimony, kind of a precursor as to what was going to be said during his Senate hearing. But that's past tense. What did you think about what he said? I can't wait to get into this conversation.
I know. Oh, my gosh. Having watched the whole hearing myself and followed this so closely, this has been one of the most exciting topics for me, and I know some people would just yawn, but basically my reflections on what happened were that this hearing was taking place because the Democrats wanted to prove two things. They wanted to prove that Trump campaign was colluding with the Russians to influence the election, and they wanted to prove that Trump fired Comey for a bad reason, not stopping his investigations. And they failed miserably. Comey was the weirdest witness. He was the weirdest. He got up there, and the only thing he was sure about was that he wasn't sure, or he was sure that he wasn't sure about certain things. And so by not admitting that he saw collusion and not fully admitting that he was fired for a bad reason or whatever reason the Democrats wanted, he didn't give the Democrats any fodder. And in fact, the longer they went on with him, the more he kept dropping things that were really hurting him, and even, some things undermining, those two things that the Democrats wanted to prove, and also other things like what he said about Loretta Lynch. But, he even came out and called the New York Times fake news. He didn't use that exact term. He said it was false information, but he basically said the New York Times was wrong to report that the Trump campaign was colluding with the Russians.
Rachel, there's so much that we can pick and choose and talk about James Comey, but here's what I took from watching the hearings, and please tell me if you think I'm off base on this. I found an ex-FBI director to be very cowardly, to be very not strong in his attitude or personality. It's not the type of a personality I want as the FBI director. He made comments like, well, I guess I was too cowardly to pursue it. Or he made another comment in his dissertation, I wasn't strong enough to stand up against Trump. I don't want to hear that from an FBI director. You want a tough guy, and this guy is not.
Well, I found this really good article on ProPublica, I believe. It's a very long article where they go over and they interview a lot of Comey's former colleagues to get to the bottom of what this guy is really like. And this is all part of his character. He has a way of self-preservation. He's very careful what he says and what he does in order to maneuver and stick around, and that's how he was able to, last through at least some of the Trump administration, to go from a Democrat administration to a Republican one. So that's kind of his personality. And as for him being, afraid of Trump, I just can't get over laughing. Have you seen the photo of him standing in the blue room in front of the blue curtains trying to blend in? He said he tried to do that so Trump wouldn't see him, even though he's 6'8", and Trump is basically facing him during that event. So this guy, in his leaked testimony, which I explain in my article, basically the theme of his leaked testimony was that he didn't like Trump and he just wanted to avoid him. And again, I think that all helps Trump because would you want to fire an employee who couldn't stand you and didn't want to be around you? Of course, that's a completely valid reason to fire an employee.
Yeah, but you know as well as I do, Rachel, that the left, they're such hypocrites, because it was just weeks and months earlier that they were calling for Comey's head, whether it was Harry Reid or whether it was Barbara Boxer or whether it was anybody else of the Democratic left. They were asking him to be excused, and then when it finally happened, now they're in an uproar. They're absolute hypocrites.
Because I don't think they really care about, Comey being fired or not. That's not the issue. The left is making it an issue merely because it wants to make Trump look bad. That is all this is about, and, they're going to milk this as long as they can. I don't think they're over with, pretending that Trump colluded with the Russians no matter what came out during Comey's testimony. I think that's not going to stop them. I think I might have said on your show before, the left views that as man-made global warming. It doesn't matter how much evidence comes out contradicting it. That just makes them stick to it even harder. And I do think they're going to wise up. I was on another talk show this morning, and this host, he proposes that Democrats are going to start running with obstruction of justice now, and the reason they're going to do that is because it's such a vague, easy to get a prosecutor to, convince people that this is what happened. And so I think they're going to start running with that. And, that could lay the groundwork for impeachment. And I think they're just going to put this mantra out there, obstruction of justice, all the time until Democrats control the House again. And, or they can get rid of Trump other ways. They could force him to resign. They could ruin his reputation so badly that he can't win re-election. I predict we're going to see obstruction of justice out there more.
Well, I have said this many, many times in the past, and I'll say it again to you, and you can agree or disagree, that I look at the Democratic Party like a person with a bad left leg, a crippled left leg, and they're looking for any crutch to prop them up and try to further their cause. That's the way I look at the Democratic Party.
Yeah, unfortunately, I have to agree with you. And a lot of their arguments just resort to, personal attacks, smears, insinuations. That was the whole thing during this hearing. All they were able to get out of Comey was, I think maybe there might have been something wrong, but I don't know what. I can't put my finger on it.
Yeah.
I can't name a crime. And that's the Democrats. That's the only way they can usually get Republicans, criminally or through the legal system is they have to use one of these vague, overarching laws and just say, well, it sounds like there was, obstruction of justice. Whereas with Hillary Clinton, gee, to nail her, you have to have, clear intent, and that's not true. With a lot of these crimes, you don't even need intent. And so she got off the hook awfully easy.
Well, yeah, but wait a minute. With your expertise as a writer, you must have been absolutely outraged to the point of where you were bouncing off the walls at your home when you compare what they thought and are trying to insinuate that Trump did, but there's no evidence, as opposed to Bill Clinton meeting Loretta Lynch at a Phoenix airport and getting on her airplane and basically trying to twist his wife Hillary out of any wrongdoing. Come on.
Oh, it is so outrageous. And Comey, to his credit, as much as I think he's a weasel, he's not going to go so far as to, tell a lie that's such a whopper that, it will completely take down Trump. I believe he does have some sense of trying to play the middle of the field. And so he came out, that A.G. Lynch met with the president and tried to... and then, besides doing that, to discuss the Hillary Clinton investigation, A.G. Lynch also pressured Comey into saying this was just a matter that the FBI was looking into, not an investigation, a criminal investigation. Well, all the FBI does is criminal investigations. So my boyfriend made the joke that we should just rename it to the Federal Bureau of Matters. And, in contrast to Donald Trump, they're trying to go after him for obstruction of justice because they say that it was wrong of him to hint to Comey that he should stop some of these investigations, like the one into Flynn and the one into the, alleged Trump campaign collusion with the Russians. Well, even if Trump had directed him to stop those investigations, it would not have been obstruction of justice. And Harvard Law professor Alan Dershowitz, no conservative, he's come out and said this. He said, as the boss of Comey reports to Trump. And And if Trump thinks he has an out-of-control prosecutor or detective going on a fishing expedition, he absolutely has the right to shut down that fishing expedition.
Absolutely. You know, though, I got to ask you this, Rachel. You and I both are on the same page on almost 99% of the different issues we talk about on this show. But the media, I mean, you can talk all you want about Trump, you can talk all about Michael Flynn, you can talk all about James Comey, but the media is so distorted and so left-leaning until we get the media cleaned up, whether it's CNN, ABC, NBC, CBS, whatever. The American public, I don't think, is going to develop the outrage necessary to clean up this United States. Do you think I'm wrong?
No, you're absolutely right. And, you know, instead of getting better as we're democratizing the Internet with all these new news sites like The Stream, you're now running into a new problem, which is, you know, Google and Facebook, these huge monolithic giants run by, you know, the left that are selectively filtering the news to filter out the conservative sites and, you know, only leave in these liberal sites. And so we've got to fix that problem. And, you know, my goal, I never am going to probably get there, but I don't have wealth or connections, but, you know, my goal is we need to build our own Facebook, our own Google, and we're going to have to take them on because they're not changing. And every time you go to Google News, all you see is fake news headlines, and good luck trying to find a Fox News or a Wall Street Journal headline in the first page of, you know, Google results or the home page, because all it is these biased headlines. I mean, the coverage, I saw the coverage after, you know, watching the hearing, and I couldn't believe that I had watched the same hearing. All they said was, you know, Comey just completely threw Trump under the bus. And, you know, really the only negative things that Comey really said about Trump was he was mad at him for defaming him in the FBI, because Trump, you know, would talk critically of him after he fired him. And the second thing was he said he took notes after his private meetings with Trump because he was worried that Trump was going to spin it differently how the meetings happened. That's like nothing, but that's all these left-wing outlets would talk about. And they left out, the Lynch information. They left out, you know, all the exonerating information, how Comey said he saw no evidence of voter fraud due to the Russians hacking the election.
Yeah. You know, Rachel, one other topic, I'm going to jump off the track a little bit this morning, but I want you to respond to this. I have said on my program that all of us have got some holes in our screen door, and it's about time that we tried to clean up our own backyards to make America better and more moral and more family values in this country. What are your thoughts about the Democratic Party with the leader Tom Perez and now the filthy mouth of Democratic Senator Kirsten Gillibrand of New York deciding that it's okay to use the F word in their speeches? I mean, this is insane, and I find it insulting.
You know, I think we're going to start seeing a backlash. You know, people don't want to see that and hear that from their leaders. And I find myself using this phrase over and over again now, the unhinged left. The left has just gone nuts, out of control. And I keep saying it's ridiculous. You know, Trump used to be a Democrat half his life. You know, most of us during the primary didn't even think he would end up being conservative. And you know, look how they're going after, you know, poor Ivanka Trump. I mean, that woman is, you know, pro-LGBT rights. She tried to stop Trump from pulling out of the Paris Climate Accord. I mean, she's not even much of a conservative, but they got her clothing line pulled from Nordstrom. I mean, the left is so unhinged, and it's not even like Trump and his family are that far right. So I think people are going to see through it, and, you know, you don't want your children seeing these leaders dropping the F-bomb. It's just tasteless and lacking in class, and, you know, go for it, left. You're just going to undermine yourself.
Well, don't you agree, though, that the way the left is today, and I'm just going to say the Democratic Party, because, quite frankly, I can't find anybody here locally that has the backbone or the spine to represent the Democrats to come on my show. They won't do it. They're scared to. And they're playing to anarchy, and they're playing to Saul Alinsky's rules to overthrow this country. Wouldn't you agree?
I do agree, and I know why they don't want to go on your show, because they don't want to discuss the issues. You know, we discovered with the fake news phenomenon that conservatives were more likely to share fake news than Democrats. Granted, they were being targeted more. The left was doing a lot of the fake news. But conservatives, they found, are more educated about the issues, so they're more likely to feel passionate, and when they see something that reflects that passion, they're going to share it. The left isn't as educated. They don't want to come on your show because they don't argue based on the facts and the evidence. They argue based on emotion and fake accusations. They want to come on your show and say that conservatives are racist. You know, I have this one left-wing friend. He just will not stop. He just keeps saying to me, you know, angry white males, you know, they're responsible for all these bad things going on. They don't want to see people of color on TV or here or there. And I look at him and I say, Are you kidding me? I don't know one single white male who believes that. And his response back to me was, well, we've had this discussion before. You just have a very small circle. And I laughed so hard because I got him. You know, I have over 8,000 Facebook followers, friends, whatever, and I have 20,000 Twitter followers. So I just proved his case wrong right there.
You know, and the other thing, too, Rachel, when you talk about situations with the left, and you talk about groups that I think are absolutely hideous and grotesque in what they're trying to promote as far as divisiveness, and I'm talking about like Black Lives Matter, they came out last week and they said that everybody ought to boycott the NFL because it's a pro-white, pro-Trump league. And they failed to use the common sense that God gave a billy goat when they failed to remember that almost 90% of the players in the NFL are black.
Oh, my gosh. That would almost be funny if it wasn't so bizarre. I hadn't even heard of that. I mean, well, that's the thing. You take these liberals' logic, full circle, and you just reach these absurd conclusions that you can't do anything but laugh at how silly they are. It's like the emperor has no clothes.
You know, and one other thing quickly in the time remaining, I'm sure did you hear or not hear about the New York City Shakespeare in the Park modernization of the death of Julius Caesar, and they have now portrayed it as the assassination of Donald Trump. They've got Julius Caesar, modern day, looking like Donald Trump in the assassination. This is absolutely repulsive, and many of the sponsors are pulling out, but many are staying, and this is about as low as the left can go.
Yeah, I had heard about that one, and again, I mean, they're only marginalizing themselves, and, you know, if you're looking at things from a strategy perspective, you know, that's not wise. I mean, you're just going to alienate, you know, the very types of people that you want to come watch your play. So, again, it's just the unhinged left going further and further. And, you know, we need people to stand up and fight back when it comes to these advertisers. I know they're doing that with the advertisers for Sean Hannity. You know, they've formed a movement to go after the advertisers of left-wing shows now. So we need an effort like that to, you know, kick in and you know, tell these advertisers, don't go with that theater show.
Right. You know, you did an outstanding article on what to expect during Comey's congressional testimony. What do you think, quickly, I've only got about a minute and a half left, about Jeff Sessions, Attorney General, saying he will testify? What are your thoughts on this?
Well, he's not going to pull a, you know, Susan Rice, and, you know, who lies and gets caught lying. So he has no reason to be scared of Congress. He has nothing to hide. It doesn't mean he can answer every question, because there could be, you know, some information that's classified. But I think it's a net positive. I think Jeff Sessions is a very honest man. I think he recused himself from the Russian investigation for valid reasons. We might not know what they are, but he wouldn't have done so unless it was legitimate. So I'm very excited that he's going to testify.
Can't wait to read your next article. Thank you very much, Rachel Alexander with The Stream. God bless. Have a good day, and I'll call you back soon.
All right, you too. God bless.
Thank you. Oh, my. Interesting lady and very good writer for the stream, Rachel Alexander. Hey, by the way, if you're not familiar with it, we have a segment on Thursdays called Cassia County School Days. Yep, even during the summer. And, of course, it's brought to you by A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley and Ambulatory Surgery Center in Burley. At A Child's World, oh my goodness, they've got all the baby and birthday presents. They've got all the baby furniture. They've got all the clothes. My goodness sakes, they've got it all. Games, puzzles, everything at A Child's World. And gift wrapping is free. Don't forget, A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley. And then the Ambulatory Surgery Center, providing a quality place for surgeries like cataract surgery, colonoscopies, hand and knee surgery. You better call. You better find out. You better find out how they can save you money. Absolutely outstanding service at Ambulatory Surgery Center, 1344 Highland Avenue in Burley. Number to call, 677-8888. Ambulatory Surgery Center and A Child's World, bringing you School Days in Cassia County on Thursdays on my program at 10:10. Well, we're going to send it back over to Wheels and the crew for a couple of minutes, and then we're going to come back with Cody Wilson, and I think you'll find him very interesting this morning, talking about guns and home protection. So stay tuned for that. Wheels, take it away.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Right now, in accordance with some of the stories we've had on the program already this morning and some of the news highlights, I'm very interested and very happy to have this gentleman come on our program. He is the author of the book called Come and Take It, The Gun Printer's Guide to Thinking Free. Cody Wilson. Good morning, Cody. How are you?
Hold on, sir, real quick.
All right. I don't know why he wasn't ready to go, but we'll check and see. And Cody Wilson, owner and proprietor of GhostGunner.net, and also, like I said, the author of this book, Come and Take It, The Gun Printer's Guide to Thinking Free. Wheels, is he ready to go?
He is, sir.
All right, thank you. Good morning, Cody. Glad to have you on the program. How are you?
Hey, good morning. I'm happy to be here.
Cody, tell us a little bit about yourself, and I want to talk a little bit about your book, too. Give us a little background, if you would, please.
Sure, yeah. Well, my name is Cody Wilson. I'm the director of Defense Distributed, and you could call us we're a private defense firm. We do a lot of research and development with firearms and firearms technology, but we do it in the public interest. So what we develop, we release to the public, and we have lots of products and software that over the years allow people to make their own guns in the spirit of what we believe is the absolute power of the Second Amendment.
Now, when you say make their own guns, it's intriguing. Do you mean make a gun at home right in your kitchen table? What are you talking about here?
Yeah, I actually mean pretty much that, in your garage, in your kitchen, at home, outside of the traditionally assumed place like the machine shop or the factory floor. The techniques and technology exist now, both in software and hardware, for you to be able to make these things for yourself and not have to rely on a large producer or a military, industrial contractor. You can make your own AR-15. You can make your own implements of protecting your rights.
Let me ask you this, Cody, and believe me, I'm on your side, and I'm a gun proponent for free America. But playing devil's advocate, are you worried about this information falling into the wrong hands?
I'm not, and I respect the question. I know that you're coming from a place of civic engagement, so I feel the question with equal respect. I think that a healthy view of our rights, as it's enshrined in the Bill of Rights, understands and assumes that the free access to this kind of information and practical knowledge is also it means that people with bad intentions can have access to that knowledge as well. The public library serves the good person and the bad person. But having a mature view of our rights, we understand that it is better that society has this information in mass, even if bad things can still happen.
You know, Cody, you've never been on this program before, but you will find I am very conservative, and I am also very interested and concerned about people being able to protect themselves. We cannot put the liability always on our police and sheriff's departments. They cannot be all places at all times in the drop of a hat. And we as homeowners and families, we need to be able to protect ourselves. I'd like you to expand on that a little bit.
Well, I certainly agree. I mean, it should simply not be, you know, the thought of a responsible person that, oh, there's a paid municipal police department, they're going to take care of my property and my safety for me. Most civically minded people understand that it's irresponsible. You've got to look out first for your own safety. You've got to be trained, and you've got to understand the responsibilities of protecting your property and your family. And often this comes with the burden of gun ownership. But more than that, there's we have to be in the practice of exercising the rights like those guaranteed by the Second Amendment, or these things will just casually be slowly taken away from us. So outside of the practice, we simply lose what was, hundreds of years ago enshrined as something inviolable for us.
What would you say to people today, Cody, and we'll go into your book more in just a moment, but the villainization, if you will, of homeowners and property owners and family fathers and mothers that want to protect their family, they seem to be villainized right now in this very liberal media and almost like a protection device for the bad guys. Do you see it the way I do?
I do. I think the icons of traditional family life, traditional Americanism, have, for many years now been the convenient kinds of media scapegoats, convenient punching bags, and like you've identified in the question, these are mostly creations of a hostile media. I think most people recognize that for the fabric of a good society, there need to be strong family units, strong, traditional ways of living, and people that are mostly self-sufficient and able to take care of their own. Before they invite the cooperation and help of their governments. And bedrock, a cornerstone part of this type of a traditional American self-sufficiency is the ownership of a firearm. It's the practice of civic republicanism, and these things are, of course, the classic things that the media loves to make fun of right now. It's just a hostile point of view.
What do you tell people, Cody, when you visit with people or visit with groups or deliver a speech? Do we as a society, are we providing enough information out there? Are we providing enough sources for them to go get trained, understand about home protection? Are we doing enough?
I guess I would supplement. I would say, it's never been easier in the current environment to purchase a gun, and this is with the proviso of in most states. Okay, in some states it's getting harder. Obviously, it's famously difficult in New York and other places to kind of exercise your Second Amendment. But while it's never been easier to purchase a gun, it's never been kind of more obscure and abstract. The knowledge to make your own, or the knowledge to possess your own outside of commercial channels, just outside of going to Walmart or outside of going to Brownells or something online. Most people are kind of getting further and further away from the raw practice of being able to fashion their own things, right? Grow their own food, make their own guns. These kinds of essential, committed aspects of building your own life. We're mostly trained to be passive consumers of our rights, and I think that's the problem. We need to be able to supplement that activity with information, and hopefully, free information.
Are you more concerned than ever? I am. I'll tell you that right up front. I'm more concerned than ever about all the pitfalls and the dangers that are out there in this country, many of which have been imported into this country, that may be a severe threat to our families. How concerned are you right now today, more so than maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago?
Well, I mean, it's obviously more prevalent, right? And we're definitely seeing a trend, right? There's an attack in Europe. It seems like every week at this point, every other week, and that's being brought here, and that's being consciously brought here. It's an element of policy, despite who the new president is. It's still an element of policy to subsidize that and to import that here. I don't know, though, that that's a larger threat than, because let's not forget, Hillary Clinton was just a hair's width from being elected, despite all the rhetoric, and that would have signaled the very sure end of things like the modern Second Amendment as enshrined by Heller, and really a number of other things with her liberal court. So we came very close, outside of just the threat of terrorism, we came very close to the kind of ignominious end to a number of things that we hold sacred in this country. And I don't think we realize just how imperiled everything is that we consider essential to the fabric of American life.
Yeah, you said we came very close, and you're 100% right in your verbiage, but then on the other hand, we're not away from it either. I mean, it's only laying under a rock, ready to rear its ugly head again in the next election. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I would. And in fact, I mean, unfortunately, the way the Trump presidency is going, it looks like 2018 is do or die for this presidency, and really the Republican efforts to implement kind of any change with his election. Because if the Democrats get more than, and look, this is not advocating for the GOP, but if the Democrats get 218 members in 2018, you're going to see President Trump impeached, and you're going to see a total seizure of anything like the change that you thought was coming to Washington. And this isn't me being an advocate of that change. This is me simply saying, whatever you thought was going to be redirected with the election of Trump is simply being stalled right now and is in mortal danger. And that's not just for 2020, that's for 2018.
I agree. You know, just last week, Brevard County, Florida Sheriff Wayne Ivey came out, and I really applaud this man, Cody, because he came out and said, listen, arm yourself, be ready. We are at war, and the police cannot be all places at all the times. How would you respond to what Wayne Ivey, the sheriff of Brevard County, said? I think he's absolutely hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, I respect sheriffs like that, constitutionally minded sheriffs who respect their provision role in our society and recommend that the people get into the practice of maintaining their own defense, providing for their own defense, for the security of a free state. I mean, he's got the right idea. You don't see enough of that. And then again, right we're on today is the 1 year anniversary of the Pulse nightclub shooting, the most deadly shooting in American history. Look, one guy was able to take an unarmed crowd and really just have his way there for hours before the police were able to respond. If we're not going to be in the habit of carrying arms and of defending ourselves, we're going to be more and more vulnerable to huge attacks like this. So we simply have to have a different frame of civic-mindedness.
All right, let's talk a little bit about your book, Come and Take It, The Gun Printer's Guide to Thinking Free. Give us kind of a general overview of what the book tells people and what you want them to take away when they close the cover.
Sure. Come and Take It is just a history of our organization, Defense Distributed, how it was born, its animating ideas, which are simply that the Internet will allow you to make your own weapons and make your own guns, and that this adds another wrinkle to American gun politics specifically, but also generally it changes the entire scenario politically. I mean, there's talk of gun control, every time there's a Democratic presidency, but we believed in the pages of this book that we had developed a way, kind of like websites like WikiLeaks and efforts like that, we had developed a way to kind of permanently put the plans for common guns and even new guns on the Internet to always be available for people, kind of independently of whatever the political situation was. You would at least always be able to, download and recreate a gun for yourself. We thought that that's a significant change in the history of gun politics, and so it's documented there in our book and the development of our company.
Let me ask you this question. There's been many people that have said in the past, and I'm just reiterating some of their thoughts, that they possibly won't take the guns, but they'll stop any sale of ammunition. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, it kind of comes down to the same scenario. Like, okay, fine, you want to regulate ammunition sales? Let's make it easy to make ammunition at home. Let's sell the casings, and let's sell the primers, and you can load yourself, right? I mean, there's always going to be this extra dimension of people being able to fabricate their own things. Technology's never made this easier. I know a number of startups around the country that specialize in reloading, for example, and reloading presses, automatic reloading presses. So if there's ever going to be a full effort to regulate ammo, they'll start commercially, and you just have to make it yourself. You can't depend on going to Academy and picking up your 22 or your 380. You're going to have to make some of that home brewed, right? Some home batches, and that's not a hard thing to do.
You know, what would you say to people, Cody, and I'm sure this has probably come up in conversations where you've been involved, and some people from the left or some of the naive people that live in this country, they'll say, oh, come on, there's no big push to take our guns. Oh, come on, they're not going to take away the Second Amendment. What would you tell people like that?
I don't think people even really use that tactic that much anymore, because the last 2 years really everybody showed their hands in these conversations. We had multiple shootings. We had multiple efforts on the part of the outgoing Obama administration to finally do something. And I don't think Hillary Clinton was even hiding her contempt for Heller and the Second Amendment that much. So, you know, it used to be like in the 90s, especially people would say, oh, no one's taking your guns. And we would hear that a few years ago as well, like after Sandy Hook. But all you have to do is, in a conversation, is just admit, like, okay, fine, assault weapons ban. You want an assault weapons ban? Well, you know, how many people are killed by assault weapons every year? Well, it's nothing. It's fractionally, as a part of statistics, it's nothing. It's absolutely nothing. Okay, so you haven't limited gun violence at all. We've banned assault weapons. Gun violence is the same. Now what do you want to do? Well, I mean, they're uncomfortable admitting it publicly, but they want to ban handguns. And that's the thing that they know everybody doesn't want. So the conversation simply ends faster these days. No, they don't really waste their time saying no one wants to ban your guns. They want to talk about, you know, terrorists, being able to fly on planes, and anything to distract you from the fact that really what they want is a complete and total ban on the private possession of handguns. It's a non-starter.
One of the biggest problems we have in this country today, and I'm a part of it, and somewhat you are too, is the media. They are so left-leaning, and so liberalized in their thought, almost to espouse the Saul Alinsky handbook of kind of taking over America. How do we defeat and get the media back into being journalists instead of attack dogs?
There's not going to be a happy ending here. You know, journalism is an institution at this point of the radical, you know, subversion of the traditional institutions of American life. That's just what it is. And if you're a journalist, you know, you're coming out of journalism school, that's your mission. Your mission is to undermine the classic institutions of American life. I wish I had better news. I don't. That's what it is. It's a game like that. So they're the kind of fifth column, right? What do they call them? The fourth estate is the fifth column. It's a favorite motto of mine. There's nothing to be gained from even participating in traditional journalism at this stage in this republic's life cycle. There's only recognizing that it's an adversarial class, that it has vested interests, and that you know when you see a particular story that it's trying to accomplish a particular thing. And I believe that's been the job of, you know, especially talk radio for a long time, to instruct people and inoculate them against, like, you know, no media that you consume is neutral. It all has a purpose. It's all serving the vested powers either of the liberal government, right, in state, or of the shadow liberal government that wants to come back into power. It's never going to be in another direction.
Absolutely. Now, talk about the book to wrap things up. Come and take it, The Gun Printer's Guide to Thinking Free. What about the book? Where can people obtain it? How do they go about getting a copy?
Well, our book is on Amazon. Just search Defense Distributed, search Cody Wilson. It's on our website, ghostgunner.net, and that's where we sell our products to help you make your own AR-15s and AR-308s. We believe in just in any way, man. We just appreciate the patronage and the fact that it expands people's ability to learn how to practice and engage in this, I guess, this Anglo-American tradition.
Absolutely.
At the end of its life cycle. We believe that the only way to preserve the Second Amendment going forward is for people to directly put it into their hands and make it themselves.
Well, I want to tell you, Cody, I hope you'll consent to coming back in the future. You're a great guest, very articulate. Thank you, Cody Wilson. We will invite you back in the near future. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Cody Wilson, and the owner and proprietor of GhostGunner.net, and also author of the book, Come and Take It, The Gun Printer's Guide to Thinking Free. Very interesting young man. Oh, my goodness. Got to get the weather forecast on here. And then I want some calls. My goodness. Let's not shirk our duties. Give me a call if you would, please. Right now it's time for the weather, brought to you by Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road in Jerome. Oh, my goodness sakes. Or you can go to their website, www.scarrowsmeats.com. They have delicious meats. I've known Don Scarrow for a long, long time. What a great business. And I mean to tell you, all of the meats are delicious. They've got the breakfast sausages, the bratwurst. Oh, I love their brats. And, of course, they've got a new kind of a bacon. It's leaner and more economical. It's called buckboard bacon. In different flavors. Check it out at Scarrow's Meats, 324-7657. Right now, here's the weather.
Here's your weather forecast as we saddle up and ride for the weekend. This is what it looks like for today. Partly cloudy for this morning, but that's going to give way to afternoon rain showers and thunderstorms, about a 50% chance. High of 63 for today. A little bit on the breezy side tonight. 90% chance of rain showers is expected with a low of 45. Tomorrow, more rain showers will continue with a high of 62. For tomorrow night, winds are going to be picking up out of the southwest, about 20 miles an hour, low of 43, but everything going to be calming down for Wednesday and a high of 72. That is your weather for Zebeth Duran.
Oh, my goodness, my goodness, my goodness. Some unsettled days ahead, and the weather brought to you by Scarrow's Meats. Don Scarrow and the crew at 331 North Road, Jerome. 324-7657. They are changing the way we eat one delicious bite at a time at Scarrow's Meats. All right, your turn. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Come on, I want to hear from somebody this morning. Come on, call me, and we'll talk about any subject you want over the next couple of days, or minutes, I should say. Give us a call, 436-2244. Not days, please, just minutes. I only have minutes left. One subject I wanted to talk about a little bit is the cleansing of what's going on in our society by the liberal left. They are trying to take Trump out of all the media. They're trying to take Trump out of anything. I'll give you an example of how serious this is with a loss of First Amendment privilege in this country. I just heard a story this morning early at about 4:30 this morning about a New Jersey high school student, actually a couple of them, that when they went to have their class pictures taken, one of the boys had Trump. That was it, on his blue sweater. That's all it said. It was Trump, nothing else. And then a girl at that same high school in New Jersey, she took one of Trump's quotes when he was running for the presidency and put it in her quote for the senior yearbook. Guess what? The so-called powers that be at this school, before the picture was put in the yearbook of the young man, a very articulate young man, they photoshopped and cropped off the name Trump from his sweater. Changed it. And the girl's quote that she was using to wish all of her seniors and her fellow classmates well was taken out of the yearbook. Now, have you ever heard of a president? And he is our president. He is our 45th president, Donald J. Trump. But everybody on the left is absolutely trying to whitewash it, absolutely trying to eliminate him, his words, his name, etc. from our society. And the young man was on television this morning, and he was very, very upset that they would absolutely blur and cut out the word Trump. That's all it was on the sweater. Trump. That was it. And the young lady was very upset because they changed and took out her dedication to her classmates, which was a comment and a quote from Donald Trump. I've never seen this happen before with any other president. I mean, you can go back to JFK, John F. Kennedy, and people were, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. They never obliterated that. And George Bush, they never obliterated sweatshirts or sweaters or baseball caps that had Bush on them. No, this is, in my estimation, the first time that there have ever been a cleansing from the liberal left to take President Trump, Donald Trump, out of everything. in lieu of a potential impeachment that they're trying to put forth with information but no evidence. What are your thoughts on this? 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'd like to hear from you. Quickly, give me a call. Love to get you on the air. While I'm waiting for your call that I know is coming in, don't forget our friends, our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations. 7 of them. Don't miss them. And they've got the best in your tires for your pickups and your SUVs, like the Backcountry all-terrain tire, or for your cars, the Xeon RS3A. I'll be right with you, caller. All of these tires, all of the best in brake service, all the best of front-end alignment, shocks and struts and batteries. Simply the best, and the best of service to you. Absolutely. You stop in and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley, the best. They do the right thing because it matters at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Hi, good morning, Mr. Bell. This is Shelley Holy calling, and thank you for taking my call. I just wanted to share a couple comments concerning the gun thing, and I support, the Second Amendment rights and First Amendment, and the whole Bill of Rights for that matter. But if there are some people out there that are kind of afraid to use a gun to shoot someone down, to kill somebody, I can understand how that would be scary to even shoot someone when you've never shot anybody before, especially if you choose life and are against abortion. But you know what? In the Bible, in Proverbs chapter 6, when it says, God hates the shedding of innocent blood, but you know what? God does not hate those who have to shed wicked blood. And, even God even commanded the Israelites in the Old Testament to even have them kill the people that were of the mindset of sacrificing their children to their idols. And that included, God wanted them to even kill the women and children as well, because, the children that are raised up in such a wicked mindset, if you don't nip it in the bud at the very root of...
Well, wickedness is prevailing itself in this country, Shelley. Shelley, listen to me carefully. Wickedness is very prevalent, more so than ever in our society. I appreciate your viewpoint, and I appreciate your calling in, but I'm flat out of time, and I've got to run according to the clock dictates. It says it's time to say goodbye, and I thank you for your call. And I'll urge people to call in tomorrow on my first hour of the program with the open forum. We'll have more of these stories. We'll have more time to take your calls, so I don't have to cut anybody off. But right now, we're going to say the way things were, the way things ought to be. God bless you and your family. Tune in tomorrow morning at 8:06 right here on K-Bar, 12:30 a.m. and streaming live on the internet, zebbell.com. Wheels, great job, buddy. See you tomorrow morning at 8:06.